with these Girl Scout cookies in the middle of the mall? No. So they can get a booth in the middle of the mall and make $100,000 a weekend. Because we're not gonna say no, because of what? We're supporting the babies. And so I looked at our young people and I said, man, Philip Jackson put out a report and it said 92% of 18 to 25-year-olds are unemployed. He said that 89% of all crimes committed were committed by unemployed people. So I began to think, in this season of violence reduction, in this season of let's come together and stop the violence, I said maybe violence needs to go into business for himself. Because most of the violence that's being perpetrated in our community is not necessarily always gang related, but it's more revenge.
Right.
You got me, so I'm gonna get you back. You jumped on my friend, so I'm gonna jump on your friend. You shot my kid, I'm gonna shoot your dog. And so it's not necessarily gang violence, but I do know one thing. It's kind of hard to get in trouble when you're trying to run a business. Would y'all agree?
Amen.
When you got to go to work and you making money and you can drive a nice car and you can have relations with somebody and you can take care of your children, you tend not to get in trouble. And so my heart said that if I'm gonna train up children to be entrepreneurs, which I've been doing my entire life, then I need to make sure that they have a financial education. So I became a part of my cousin's business, which is a family business, been around about 30 years now. I know some of y'all probably heard about it, called Primarily. And I know you all have had your different presentations and different understandings of what that business is, what that business does. But something that I took from that, you know, October 23rd of 2016, I was involved in a car accident. And the Lord had it that I would still be here. Because based on everything that happened to me in that car accident, I'm not supposed to be here today. And so I began to think about what was going on. They said if you want to become wealthy, you got to find a way to get 1% of 100 people instead of 100% of you.
Hallelujah.
And it didn't really hit me. I've been hearing that my whole life. I've been hearing people say that. And it didn't make sense until I was laying in that hospital bed. Because I was good at getting 100% of me. And when the income wasn't coming in no more, the business wasn't growing like it was supposed to, there was no way to even think about how I'm going to get the money. I said, man, I did this thing all wrong. My children always helped me, but they never ran the business. So the business didn't run until I got out that bed. The business didn't run until I got back on my feet. So I began to think about how I could transfer over everything I'm doing to the children like the other ethnic groups do. I'm bad with people's nationalities, but I met I want to say Italian lady. She's a financial advisor. We were out in Oak Brook and she had somebody she was bringing out there to take their class to get their license, and I had somebody out there and she was talking to me about what she does in the business, and she says to me, she says, you know, I usually don't work with these little clients. I said, I said, well, what kind of client is she? She said, well, I usually work with immigrants that come over here from other countries, and they get entrusted with the family's wealth, and they come over here and they start businesses. I said, really? I said, so, you know, what do you consider not that wealthy? She said, well, she only got 24 million. And I'm going, only?
Okay.
Only 24 million? So I began to ask her a series of questions. I said, so what would you do for a person like that with 24 million? She said, well, she's here today because she's going to get her insurance license, because the first thing we got to do is set up the family trust. That's the pot that all the money goes in. The next thing we got to do is everybody that's a beneficiary of this trust, we got to put $1 million insurance policy on them. Because as the trust depletes to take care of that family when that person dies, not if they die, but when they die, we need that $1 million to come back to the trust for the next generation. She said, so what we're going to do is we're going to set up all of the elders, their retirement accounts. We're going to open up about 2 or 3 subways. We're going to buy a gas station. We're going to get real estate. We're going to get this portfolio. We're going to set up the retirement accounts. We're going to give them all their mutual funds, their annuities, and the trust is going to pay for everything. So the young people will be working while the elder people will be retired, because it's all of their money that they got put in this pot. And I said, wow, that makes a lot of sense. And I thought about my own situation. I said, man, even though I've had insurance for a very long time, I was very underinsured. And so I thought about it, I said, man, $1 million policy. What can I do if I left my family $1 million policy?
Amen.
And what I decided was, I said, well, I could take $250,000 and put it into a trust that'll pay about $2,000 a month to replace income, right? So some money can continue to come in because I am a human cash station machine. As much as my children love me, I know I'm daddy, but I'm really a cash station machine, so I'm insured a cash station, right? Then I said I could take another $250,000 and I can put it into a Bright Star Trust Fund. That's nothing more than a college fund. And the way college funds are set up today, if I want to go to college, I can use that money. If my children don't go to college, I can use it for the grandchildren. I can use it for the niece. I can use it for the nephew. I can even use it for my siblings. And it covers every level of education from K through graduate school. Good choice. Then I said I could set up a legacy fund trust account. That's because I know some of my children from all these years of being entrepreneurs, and they didn't know that that's what their daddy was having them to do. But somebody's going to come up with a business idea, and somebody's going to need some funding. And I want to be the one to be able to have the funding available for my children to go into business. I know I got about $150,000 worth of mortgage and debt and all of that other stuff to be paid off, so that's in there. And then lastly, it's $100,000 left for my organization and my church. Because as a minister and as a pastor, I'm sure Pastor Chisholm can agree, it's one thing to lose one of your members, but it's another thing when you lose your best paying tithes member.
Amen.
It's another thing. Why do we continue to go from broke generation to broke generation to broke generation? Because nobody gives us the education. If they would have told me for $267 a month, Evelyn, I could have had $1 million policy, I would have had it a long time ago. Just to say that would make you think, man, that's a lot of money. But $267 a month? But they don't teach us that. They teach us to get insurance for what? For burial purposes.
Right.
So they sell grandmama $10,000 policy. They give your children a $10,000 policy. Tell you if you keep this, they can go to college on the money and all of these wonderful things. But then college is more than $10,000. I just did a college tour. My baby was talking about something. I got a scholarship, Daddy. I ain't gonna have to pay hardly nothing. Man, I looked at them numbers. I said, nothing my foot, girl. That's $100,000 we looking at. Your scholarship is only a portion of this thing. So we got to be able to look at taking this information, training up our youth so that they can understand how to get wealthy. Because $167 a month for an 18-year-old, by the time they're 65, will make them a millionaire. $167 a month, $40 a week will make them a millionaire. If somebody was 25 years old trying to accomplish the same goal, it's $300 a month. That's why we got to get them started early. That's why you want to raise them as entrepreneurs. That's why when they finish doing the Girl Scouts and they finish selling the world's famous chocolate, they need to be selling a box of chocolate for themselves and putting it into the investment account.
Amen.
Don't just let them work to buy purses and get their hair done and buy these designer clothes and shoes. Set up an account for them.
Yes.
So that they can have some money in the future. Somebody 45 trying to get that same $1 million got to put up almost $1,800 a month.
Ooh.
But that's education. So if it's too late for you, then we want to make sure we empower the children. So I got a project, and the Lord just dropped it in my spirit. The Lord told me I need to hire 1,000 young people, 18 to 25, and give them everything I know about running the business, but first teach them about money. Because regardless of whatever they decide to do in life, if they don't have instructions on what to do with that money, it may not be a good life. You know, Dr. Evans used to say, if don't nobody buy nothing at the meeting, we didn't have a good meeting.
Amen.
What I want to add, if don't nobody leave nothing after you leave this realm, then we didn't have a good time in the UAPA.
All right.
Because there's no reason why our organizations continue to suffer and we pay for all of these insurances and then we don't benefit from them. Every time you renew your car insurance, somebody get paid another check.
Amen.
Why not somebody in our church? Why not somebody in our organization? Why not somebody in our family? I just believe that every family should have a financial advisor. If this was our family reunion, I could look in the office and I'd say, hey, cousin over there sell t-shirts, cousin back there got jewelry and everything, cousin back there take people to Africa, they do trips, and cousin right there work down at the county. If your kids get in trouble and you need to talk to a probation officer, and if you need some prayer, talk to Pastor Chisholm. If you want some seasoning, talk to Evelyn.
Amen.
But if somebody inherited $5 million, who do you call?
You.
Well, you know that now. But who do you call? Who handles the money in your family?
All right, good question.
And if you can't answer that question, you need to refer me somebody in your family so that I can give and pour that information into them. I got a whole team of people, over 1,000 people, that are ready and willing to accommodate our young people learning how to invest and save their money, learning how to go into real estate, learning how to go into business for themselves. Insurance is the world's greatest business, but nobody told us about it. You know, the insurance business, they got so slick right now. Do y'all know how these banks and insurance companies made so much money off of slavery? Because they insured their slaves. So when the crop didn't grow, I just kill a few slaves and collect the insurance money. Because that's what you did. You insure your business, right? When you get your business, don't they make you get insurance? When you got the church, didn't they make us get insurance?
Amen.
Do you know they got something called commercial terrorism insurance on our zip code right now? That says if there's too many deaths and too many murders and too much terrorism, aka gang violence, going on in a particular zip code, then that Whole Foods on 63rd, that game in here on tip dollars, can leave right back up out of here collecting on an urban terrorism insurance policy saying, I couldn't make money. And so that insurance policy will reimburse them for the cost of them coming into the community and their relocation fees. So it's no coincidence why there's violence going on in our community. Did you know your state, your city, and your county have insurance policies on our zip code? That's why the county gives you money for being a victim of a violent crime, because they collected some money. And so they need to prove their claim, so they'll break you off a little $20,000 if you're a victim of a violent crime, because they get paid for it. Did you know your birth certificate and social security card was nothing more than a surety bond? That when you die, that the United States government collects money off of? So everybody know about insurance except for who? Except for us. And if only 8% of the people that's licensed to do insurance or any type of financial planning or investments look like us, then we're in trouble.
Amen.
Because 8% of us, 25,000 out of a 315,000 population, cannot reach the masses of our people. And so if we're going to have any shot of our children being successful in the future, we got to empower them with this knowledge. So I'm making a plea to us to make sure that you give me some names, some numbers of some sharp young people that you know that are ambitious, some sharp people that you know that want to go into business for themselves, some sharp young people that you know that don't have a background, because unfortunately when you deal with other people's money, you can't have a background.
Amen.
And I think that's fair.
Amen.
So I'm looking at employ 1,000 people this summer. That's what God put in my spirit. And do you understand that just like Dr. Webb Evans said, $1 billion creates 50,000 jobs? Do you know 1,000 financial advisors can create a $10 million economy? And we talking about we need money for what? Them children to have your money. Them children to fund your businesses. Them children gonna come up with something way better than what we think of Mama Evelyn. And all we gotta do is just facilitate it, and we on our way. Because that's the genius that's in our children. That's the genius that's in that generation. They mind move so fast. I'm like, how do y'all know how to use these cell phones? Did you read the manual? No, I just picked it up. I'm like, I'm still picking up the manual, and I still can't use stuff on here. I'm steady learning stuff every day. All I know how to do is dial somebody's number. And I just learned how to put your picture on your contact. Still can't use all the social medias. Question?
Yes. Are y'all going to eventually decide to do product insurance?
Product insurance. Nope, but I got a good referral for you. I know somebody that does. Right now we do homeowners insurance, auto insurance, long-term care. We do some health care. Of course, life insurance. We do debt solutions, identity theft. We do trust wills, power of attorney, whether they be medical or financial. We do all types of investments, 403Bs, 401Ks, annuities, and I think it's so important that our children learn what that stuff is before they get their first job.
Amen.
I don't know about y'all, but when I got my first job, I didn't know what that stuff was. I was blessed that my uncle worked for the Board of Education. I had a pretty good job at the time. I'm 19, I'm making $1,300 every 2 weeks. And I promise you, I didn't know what that stuff was. I didn't know what moderate meant. I didn't know what aggressive meant. I didn't know what conservative was. I was in there just like, yeah, give me that. Yeah, give me that too. Like I knew what I was talking about, but I really didn't. Because nobody in my family ever had that conversation with me. My parents didn't talk to me about what their financial plan was. They just told me, we got one, don't worry about it. You get out of my pocket, you better go get your stuff straight. But there was no education.
All right.
They said save money, but didn't nobody tell me where to save money. Didn't nobody tell me how to save money. Didn't nobody tell me how to increase my bottom line. It was just, you better put some money up. And everybody always talked about a rainy day. Well, what about the sunny days?
All right.
They need money too.
Amen.
Am I lying?
Amen.
The sunny days need money too, so we got to be able to put ourselves in a position where we can raise our income, so that we can control our income, so we're not just trading time for money, because that's in essence what a job is. And I want young people to understand that jobs are only designed to last 4 to 6 years. So don't get discouraged when you lose one. Just make sure that you have a proper mindset when you get that job. Your job is 3 things: infiltrate, penetrate, and duplicate. Because if they will pay you to do whatever it is you're doing to increase their bottom line, I promise you can do it for yourself. And when you figure out how much you're really worth, not how much they're paying you, but how much you're actually making them, you'll want to do it for yourself. And you'll probably work a little harder. You probably won't be taking 5 breaks a day. Or is that was just me on the job? I'm the only one who's taking 5 sleep breaks. Well, I ain't have no choice, y'all. I worked 3 jobs. I'm sorry. I had a job 8 to 5 in LaSalle in the trust department. I worked overnight at Chase Bank in the lockbox department, depositing people checks, and I worked at Bennigan's on the weekend. So I had a 120 hour week. I had nothing else to do with my life. I worked and slept in between jobs, on the job. And even working that many hours a week, I still didn't make a lot of money, but it was fun, Mama Evelyn, because I was downtown. I was doing something. So I thought, right, until I started having children, I realized it really ain't no money. Because it was just enough money for me. And that's what a job is. They pay you just enough not to quit, and you do just enough work not to get fired. Let the truth be told.
Amen.
But when you find your passion, when you find something that you just love to get up and do, and I love taking children from a situation where they feel like they have no options and showing them all the options in the world about what they can do to take care of themselves. Because once you do that, game over. We can take all our children back from the streets. The only reason they're in the streets because them boys do one thing we haven't learned how to do. That's clothe them, feed them, and put some money in their pocket. When you teach them how to do that, you ain't got to worry about nobody bothering your kids. I was so scared the drug dealers in my family was going to influence my kids. I'm like, I heard them show them how to put some money in their pocket. Because every time they go outside, here come my drug dealer cousin. Hey, look, cuz, man, you need some money? How much money you got in your pocket? Oh, my daddy gave me $1. $1. Here, man, take this 20. I know what that means.
Amen.
So I better send them outside. So now when they see him, hey, cuz, I got a t-shirt for $20.
All right.
Don't just give me no money. I'll sell you something now.
Amen.
That's right.
Because we don't do handouts, we do hand-ups.
All right.
So you got to teach your children how to think. Neil, do me a favor. Come here, baby. I need your help. Hurry up. Quick thinking, fast moving. That means move real fast like I got some money. 3 principles you should always teach your children. Neil gonna help me out with it. Neil, could you tell the people what integrity is?
Doing something right when no one's looking.
Say it again.
Doing something right when no one's looking.
Amen.
All right. And let me ask you another question. What is confidence?
To believe in yourself.
All right.
And what's confidence?
To believe in yourself.
And what's better, being a leader or a follower?
Leader.
And what's a leader?
Someone who thinks for themselves.
Say that again.
Someone who thinks for themselves.
Amen.
Thank you very much.
Hallelujah.
You got to build confidence.
Amen.
You got to give them over that fear of speaking in front of public people. You gotta get them over the fear of talking to people. You gotta get them past, well, you ain't gotta do that with children so much. You gotta do that with old people. And we gotta get us past our feelings, and when somebody tell us no, when somebody don't buy something from you, you be all upset, ready to pull your hair out like, oh, like enough of this, rag me behind so-and-so, and you gonna tell me no? You owe me $20 anyway, and you ain't gonna help me out. You know, we get in our feelings. Children don't get in their feelings. They're gonna ask you so many times till you just ain't got no choice but to say yes, even if it's to get them out your face.
That's right.
But that's what you call a salesperson. Because 80% of the yeses don't happen till after you ask 5 times.
That's right.
And if you grew up in my house, my mama said once is asking, twice is reminding, 3 times is begging, and I ain't begging nobody to do nothing. So my mama wasn't gonna be no salesperson, because she wasn't gonna get too many yeses only asking twice. 80% of all the yeses happen after 5 times. But we was taught that's begging. Don't y'all know the first 2 times you say something, people ain't listening to you?
Amen.
Because they so consumed with everything else that's going on in life, that by the 3rd time they might just have heard what you said. The 4th time the subconscious kicked in, and the 5th time their heart actually vibed with what you said, and now they really heard you for the first time, but you done said it 5 times.
Amen.
It's a psychology to this thing, y'all. And when we get into the babies, man, what a glorious day it's gonna be. They talking about reducing the violence. You can't reduce the violence until you give our kids integrity, until you give them confidence, and you teach them how to be a leader.
Yes.
And let them be a leader. Let them be their own boss. Let them be the CEO. Show them how to do it, make them save their money, and then when it comes time for the next one, now you spend your money on this one.
That's right.
Now you see how serious they really are. And I promise you, boy, it's something else, man. I remember Khalil bought his first pair of shoes, Pastor Chip,
All right.
with his money. I ain't had to ask him to pick them up out the floor.
All right.
I discovered he knew how to clean them.
All right.
He knew how to take the shoestrings out and wash them.
Amen.
He knew how to use, I don't know what he was using. I think he mixed up some Fabuloso and some toothpaste and some Comet and something else. He had a special.
All right.
I couldn't believe it. I didn't know he was that skilled.
Amen.
But he spent his money.
All right.
So guess what, Pastor Shirley? I ain't buying him no more shoes.
Amen.
Ever in life again.
Why not?
Because he don't treat my shoes good.
Why not?
His shoes last 6 months. The shoes I buy be tore up in 30 days. And he want another pair. So you better teach your children how to become entrepreneurs so they can hurry up and get out your pocket.
All right.
Don't necessarily get them out your house too quick.
Amen.
But definitely to get them out your pocket. Make them save some money. Set them up so when they leave your house, they can purchase some real estate. Why send them in the world trying to pay somebody's $1,500 a month rent?
Say it.
When they could be paying a $500 mortgage, when they could be owning something,
Yes.
when they can move out and be a landlord. Instead of buying a house, get a 4-unit. You ain't got no kids yet. You ain't got no significant other. Buy a 4-unit. Let 3 other people help you pay this mortgage instead of you trying to pay it on your own. These are the kind of things we got to teach our children
Right.
and put them in position. Don't put them out your house so soon. They ain't ready for that yet. In my house, we got a new definition of grown. Grown is you got 100,000 yet, then you ain't grown.
All right.
If you ain't saved 100,000, you ain't grown.
Amen.
And you ain't ready to leave yet. Leave on a good foot. Don't leave being in debt. Don't leave college and come back home with a bunch of student debt, and now you're adding a mortgage to that, and now you 55 and 65, and some of us is lifelong students. I had somebody tell me I owe so much to student loan, I'm going to be in school the rest of my life. I'll never pay them. And they are not joking. They in their 60s, and they still on another somebody's doctorate degree, just so they don't have to pay the money back. Because as long as you stay in school, you don't have to pay the student loan. I think that's how it works. I don't want to go to school the rest of my life. I want to teach the rest of my life, but I don't want to be paying nobody money for the rest of my life to get an education that we can get for free. So, India and Shamari, come here for 1 second. We're going to close out. These are my 2 mentees. What's the matter, dear? You want to come too? As soon as you turn 18, it's okay. A few more years, you can work with Khalil.
Huh?
You can take his business from him, okay?
No, no.
These are my 2 high school students, y'all. Y'all give them a hand. I want them to tell you just one thing that they are excited about being in our program. Just tell you who they are. And we're going to close out. You go first.
Hello, my name
Speak
is.
to the mic. Speak to the mic.
Hello, my name is Shamari. I am a senior.
Speak up, so.
Talk up.
My name is Shamari.
Talk like you're at the kickback. It's okay.
Hello, my name is
Put the
Shamari.
mic closer to you.
I am a senior at Hansberry College Prep, and I am excited to learn about how to manage my money and what to do with it. I'm glad I'm starting at a young age, so I won't wait till I'm like 50 or 60 and be in debt.
Amen.
Hi, I'm India. I'm 18. I also go to Hansberry College Prep. And one thing I'm excited about is learning how money works, how I can go into business for myself.
Praise the Lord.
Everything is about training. Y'all can have it. That's so bad. Well, did that kill y'all? Did anybody bite y'all? I know, they say public speaking is one of the most feared things in the world. I never believed that until I stood before someone. But you got to get your children used to doing that. That's what church was good for. You know, you come up there, you say your play, you say your speech, you read the announcements, you do this, you do that, and you will be surprised the confidence that you give children just being able to articulate themselves and speak in front of you. So that's part of the training. Let the young people do the announcements. Have a young people service. We got to get back to that kind of stuff. We got to have a young people UAPA day. It got to be a day where we just sit back, Pastor Chisholm, and they do everything. They run the program, they do the song, they do the pledge, they raise the offering, they count the money, they prepare the bank envelope. They got to, everything that we do have to be duplicatable.
Amen.
We can't be so good that we can't be duplicatable. And we got to pass the information on because all of us are only here for a flicker. And so when you're talking about raising children to be entrepreneurs, you just got to mimic it. Give them something to do. Help them start a business. Help them start a lemonade stand. Help them sell a newsletter. Something small, just $1. And work on them. Say, okay, you sold 3 of these today. Tomorrow, let's go for 5. And I promise you, by the time you get them to the point where they can sell 100 of them in a day, Joe Dudley taught us this. He said, if you can sell to 100 customers in any given day, there's no reason you shouldn't make 6 figures in your life. I don't care what you do. He said, if you develop the skill to get 100 customers in a day, he said, I don't care if it's 100 pieces of candy, 100 pieces of paper, but if you can get 100 people in a day to tell you yes, you can make 6 figures. And that's what you want to give them the goal of. You don't even want to tell them 100. You want to tell them, Khalil, you so bad, man, you could do 500. And give them that experience, because I promise you, when life hits, like it always do, they're going to remember what they did to get out of the jam last time. And they're going to come up with some creative stuff, and you're going to look at them, you're going to say, man, I'm so proud of them and what they're doing, but it's all about options. And I promise you today, our children don't have very many options. They hear about the job, and most of them, believe it or not, don't even want to sell drugs no more. There's not any more money in selling drugs. Ain't no more rich drug dealers, y'all. I did the math, and some of them, I said, man, you can do better working at McDonald's, dude. You're not making no money. $40 a day? You gonna go to jail for $40? Oh my Lord Jesus, you need to go get a job. You working 10 hours a day for $40. Y'all think I'm playing? I wish I was making it up. The boy was making $40 a day for 10 hours standing outside the Arab store. Man, you can go to McDonald's and double your income.
Hallelujah.
They ain't up to $10, but they at least at 8. You work them same 10 hours, you would double your income. The silly fool went back and told the Arab that he was worth more money and came back and told me, thanks, big homie. I get $100 a day. And I said, man, that was not what I told you. I didn't tell you to go back and renegotiate your ways. I told you to change your profession. But that's what our children are doing. So we just got to provide opportunities. And I'm really excited. I'm passionate about money. Man, if I would have just stuck to the plans that somebody put in place for me. Because one thing I know, if you got a financial plan, it's one thing to have a financial plan. But it's another thing to have a financial coach and mentor that's going to stay on your butt to make sure you stick to that plan. And that's what I intend to do with these children. Whatever their dreams and goals is, I'm going to make sure they accomplish them dreams and goals. I'm going to make sure they get to those goals. I'm going to make sure before they start talking about husbands and babies and all this other stuff, the money is straight. You have a stress-free life. The number one reason why people don't stay together is money.
Right.
It's money.
Are you developing a plan for February?
February?
Wait a minute, do y'all know what's happening in February? Huh?
You talking about 2020?
Yeah,
The year of perfect vision?
well, in February of next year, you know, you're going to have about 40,000 young men get out of jail where they have expunged the marijuana, those that are in jail, low-case marijuana, and they're putting them out on the street. Well, I shouldn't say putting them out on the street, because
No,
they're
you said it
expunging
right.
them.
Well, we do have to have some remedial job. That's what my talk is about. That's what Buying Black is all about. Because if you got a black manufacturer that produce product, every time you produce a product, it creates on average 8 to 10 jobs.
Well,
And
you
y'all
know
think
that-
it's just a bottle of laundry detergent, but y'all don't know that laundry detergent helped 10 people stay employed.
You know what they're planning on, right?
Oh, yeah.
They have 5 licenses left for the cannabis business in the state of Illinois. And that, they're voting on that in January. And saying, people will start frowning and thinking about this and saying, this is a good opportunity for us because it's not only growers, then you gotta have somebody to harvest, then you gotta have somebody to package, you got labeling, you got janitorial services, you got bookkeepers. Nobody is working out a plan on how to form collaborations and they're talking about making that viable. I was one of those people that was asked to submit something. That's the reason I know that it's coming. Even one of the things that was suggested is that, like this organization here, as a collaborative, for the fees of buying the licensing, we should be able to, each one of us, donate a certain amount of that and buy the license. Your license, if you do the business right, they're saying that it's a $5 million a year business if you run it right. So we already got somebody that know how to train people to run it.
Have he
So-
finished?
Huh?
Has he finished his speech?
So
No, I
we
was
should,
entertaining the question.
so are you putting together a plan?
Is that a question?
I'll be honest with you, Sister Ellie, I'm not a fan of the cannabis business because in my experience of cannabis, it almost ruined my life. And my last experience with cannabis had me wake up on the floor someplace and I didn't know where I was at and who I was around. And so, me personally, you know, my integrity won't let me be a drug dealer, whether they say it's legal or not. That's just me personally. Because everybody in my family that smoked marijuana wound up in a crazy house.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. Weed wasn't good with THC or whatever that stuff is in there. And I tell my children, look, if you want to try it at home. Because I'm telling you now, it ain't going to your body right. I'm telling you now. I take you to the crazy house. You can visit our family members that smoke that stuff. Something about our family and something about where we come from and our heritage that won't allow us to do that. So I'm just not a big fan of that business, but I do know that it's $199 for one of these young people to get an insurance, a Series 6, 63, 26, and managed account investment license.
All right.
Okay.
And that license, the average income for that person is $156,000 a year. So that's the business I'm on for $199. Helping them kids develop a book of business and helping them learn about money and insurance, because even if you don't do anything but get the license and be your own producer, how many months are you gonna put money in the retirement account for the rest of your life? Why not get paid on it? How many times you gonna renew your car insurance? How long you gonna drive? For about 40 more years. Why not get paid on it?
Amen.
So my thing is, learn about it, benefit from it, but be in a position to bless somebody else with the information should they come into some money. And if they don't have money, help them develop a plan to get some money. But that's my time. I'm going to be in the back taking questions. I got a sheet that India and Shamari are going to have, because I'm asking everybody to give me somebody, 18 to 25, that's in your family, that we can put in our program, that we can help them get these licenses and put them in this type of business so that they can understand the money. Because once you understand the money, the sky's the limit. Thank you.
Yeah.